What up, gamers? We are back with some more modern gameplay action, just like we always are every Monday and Thursday. I'm, of course, NanMan, helping out with the commentary and entertainment for all of you to be able to watch every single week. And this week, we've got Infect versus Vengevine Hollow One. Now, this is not the Ketrimos New Dawn Hollow One or Vengevine decks that are running around with the dreads and things like that. This is just a pure red-green Vengevine shenanigans with Hollow One thrown in, doing some discard shenanigans and summoning Vengevine from the graveyard, doing that sort of stuff. Now, the other side, we are rocking out with the Simic Infect, just rocking the old traditional blue-green, on the hunt for still more signed cards for it. Again, we've got a long backlog of games to be able to showcase off and help to show you guys some awesome gameplay action. But I figured, it's been a while since we've featured Infect on here. And also, in the middle of the week like this, it's always nice to be able to just kind of go with the decks that I know very, very well when it comes to, editing and gameplay stuff. Because I'll let you know, I'm tired. I don't know about you all, but this felt like a very long year already, and we're only in February. So if you're not familiar with the deck, let's talk a little bit about what Infect is about and what's it trying to do. The goal of the deck is to just deal 10 damage. That's it. 10 measly damage. So you're going to be running, it's essentially a creature-based combo deck that your goal and focus is to be pumping an Infect creature. We already have one out. It's our Glistener Elf. There's also Inkmoth Nexus, Bladed Agent, and there's a couple of other goodies sprinkled in there. But Burning Inquiry is going to get used for the Vengevine Hollow One player. So again, we talked about what their goal is, to be discarding a bunch of cards, cheating some stuff into play, getting some Vengevines, and there's that other little bit of creature we were talking about, as well as an Inkmoth Nexus. So losing 2 lands and a creature. Let's see what our Vengevine player losing a Hollow One and a Faithless Looting. So that's pretty nice to hit the Hollow One there, because that would be scary to have hit on turn 1. All right. Passing it back on over. Another Waterlogged Grove, and followed up with the 2 more Rot Priests, one already in the graveyard. So this is the addition to the Infect list. It's baby Infect. Toxic is not that great, but Venerated Rot Priest at least helps do some little bit of splash damage. This is my first updated attempt of rocking out with the Green Sun Zenith. So we were trying out some Green Sun Zenith in the list, doing a 2 of. Help for options, really, to get a Rot Priest. That was the goal, to run the 2 of in there, is to try to find ways to tutor up and find those to kind of end the game later on. Like, we could do the little chip damage, incremental damage, and then try to finish the game. But Flameblade Adept is going to at least be a problem with blocking. It is a 1/2 with Menace. And now the decision, look at another Inkmoth. So the deck is definitely feeling a little clumped here, but here are 2 1/2 Venerated Rot Priests. Now they do regular damage as well as Infect, toxic, poison damage. So the way toxic work is you can only deal damage equal to the amount of toxic it is. In this case, they both have Toxic 1, so the Venerated Rot Priest can never deal more than 1 damage on combat damage. So you can't utilize your pump spells like you would with like a Glistener Elf, let's say. So that kind of leaves you with the option of utilizing its triggered ability there to get extra counters. All right. So again, Vengevine player is going to be trying to, they've got the option to do a Hollow One if they can be able to hit a Burning Inquiry or do some discarding stuff, but they also have other cards that they're going to be looking to be able to try to discard and hit, like getting a Blazing Root Walla or hitting that Vengevine, doing those types of deals. So we've got, look at this, another Hollow One in hand. We've got a Goblin Lore here. Let's see, are we going for it? Yeah, there's the Goblin Lore going to come out. So draw 4, then discard 3 at random. So this is not going to be a kind of symmetrical like Burning Inquiry is. This is just for this one player here, and they will be able to shuffle it up, lay it out just like they would before, and allow them some options. Now, if you have not played the Vengevine Hollow One, it is very traditional style to old school Hollow One, right? Most of the like Rakdos versions of Hollow One have started to take and get rid of Goblin Lore, but this, oh, there it is. Double Root Walla, Blazing Root Walla. Sadly, no Vengevine to trigger here off of that, but we are going to be able to get some burst damage going, getting at least the buffs because we are cycling and discarding cards, so that means that our Flameblade Adept is going to get bigger. There's our land. Fetching. Oh, but we still have that Hollow One in hand, so that is another nice little option to be able to drop down here. So at this point, like, the Vengevine player can just kind of gum up the board and just like with the Blazing Root Wallas, that they're basically blockers here. Yeah, they have the potential to do burst damage later on and do some little bit of fire breathing, like baby fire breathing, because it's not like you can't just keep paying into it. You can only do it once. But there's a Hollow One cast for the price of for free. And do we have a Detective Phoenix? Says, hey, says I might be dead, and I said maybe unless you have a way to stop my ink moth. We'll see what happens. All right, there's the burst coming in for 4. All right, 13 all between these players. Now it's the option, do we get a land? Do we get a protection spell? Are we having a pump spell? Let's see. Ooh, a tap land doesn't really help as much. Surveillance. Looks like we're happy to keep that on top. So looks like we're just kind of prepping and getting ourselves ready here. Now, the way this is going to work is we could do just like 1 point of damage, or try to pump it early. So do the check. How many cards in hand? Okay. All right. Activation of Ink Moth. Yeah, you can see the Rot Priest are not signed. The Surveilland's not signed. I think that's really it for the whole deck right now. Maybe Botanical Sanctums as well. So there's a couple of cards. All right, losing a life again, just kind of chipping away. Ping, ping, ping. Attempt to do a might. Double trigger here. So this will get 2 additional poison counters. Hey, there's the bolt. 2 more counters, jumping up to 7. No evasion now, which is the problem. Like, that was the goal of utilizing the Ink Moth, as we were trying to go for it. And even though we are losing it here, because even, I mean, we would have to have like 2 mutagenics in hand to save it. We do not have a way to save it, looks like. Maybe if that land entered on tap, we could have. So no pushing for damage here. Can't really afford to, but upticking our opponent up to 7 poison is really nice. Oh, is there another Blazing Root Walla here? Fetching. Yeah, life total essentially is irrelevant as the Hollow One player. The Infect player rarely gets to win through regular damage, but it is an option. It is something to be aware of and maybe, you know, be scared of, I guess, but... oh, lightning bolts. Lightning bolts are getting called out. Yeah, but I guess if you're sitting here with a Madness card and, you know, you're hoping to... He's like, you've got a block here, you just die. If I just burst up some damage, maybe I'll even draw into something more relevant. You know, Detect its Phoenix or something. Burning Inquiry is pretty good. Look at that line's looking pretty good. But we're going to go for the Faithless Looting because, you know, we still have 2 cards in hand. Maybe we'll dig into something. Worst case, we are able to just play that Blazing Root Raw off this. Maybe we get a Vengevine or something that we could throw in there and be able to trigger later on. Still have that one for potential fire breathing, though. Visage, we don't really need that now. We'll pitch that Burning Inquiry. Yeah, it's like 2 cards been discarded. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 total damage right now. And so we go for the Burning Inquiry to make the Flameblade Adept just a little bit scarier here, right? The draw 3, discard 3 at random is going to be less relevant. We don't really care as much as the discarding stuff. But we have a response. So there is a mutagenic. So we will go to 9. This will trigger 2 more poison counters. Now it's a debate what to pump. I guess it doesn't really matter. Probably going for a Rot Priest here is probably better, so it becomes a 3/5 and just a little bit hardier than we could, you know, use it to block like a Hollow One or something like that, and maybe make blocks a little bit easier. So we do a cheeky check. We almost never look off Burning Inquiry, but we know that one of the cards here, one of these 4, is another mutagenic. So we could just win off the spot here. Keep that one. Let's get rid of it. Groundswell. Distortion. Oh, there's the last mutagenic. So we don't just win on the spot here. Don't win on the spot. Now things get a little complicated with the what do we have to do with blocks. Oh, there's a Vengevine going to the graveyard. Cast the Root Wall, but that is not the second creature spell. So Vengevine does not return. That would have been real bad. Oh, there's another Blazing Root Wall in hand. So if that had gotten discard, then the Vengevine player would have just been like, all right, here's all of my team. Here's an extra 4 damage. What are you going to do about it? I mean, Vengevine's scary. It's a 4/3 with haste. Doesn't have trample or anything like that, but the haste is the scary part of it. So bring the beats. All right, so looking at this, we know we kind of have to block the 6 power here because we don't have enough creatures. I guess if we... So it's like doing the math. Really, like if we had mutagenic and pumped our Rot Priest, we could have gotten away with blocking the Hollow One without worrying. And then send the other 2 to trade off against the Flameblade and then take the Root Walla. Or you could do it other ways, like we could still use the Rot Priest to block one of the Root Wallas here. Because our opponent's tapped out, they've already played a land for turn. So there is a little bit of blocking that we could have done a little differently here, but you know, we also were sitting here and really focusing on the math of I've got pain lands here. So I have to be able to activate them, so I can't take too much. I got to make sure I'm blocking it, but hey, it's all right. We just got to Blossoming Defense off the top to get that last point of Infect damage to put our opponent to 10 there and get game number 1. Now we got to go into sideboards, which become a little bit more difficult if you are playing an Infect deck, because Infect's goal is to win game 1 most of the time. It's like... Especially if you get to go first, it makes it a lot easier. Game 2 is usually the harder one because you get to see what sort of sideboard tech your opponents have brought in for you. And then game number 3, you know, you might adjust your boards or do things like that and be a little bit better set up, better prepared here. All right, so looks like our Vengevine player are going to be mulliganing down to 6 here. And we've talked a little bit on the channel about mulliganing and stuff like that. Like, there's no real rule of thumb except for, like, hey, do you have 1 lander? You should mulligan that. Hey, do you have no lands? You should mulligan that, right? There are those elements of, like, just always get in the habit of mulliganing down. It never feels good to go down to below 5. I try to stop at 5 the best that I can. Sometimes you got to go to 4, right? And you just kind of have to suck it up and deal. And, you know, keep the best hands that you can to help make the games, you know, as competitive as possible for you to put yourself in the best position for winning, right? You know the lines of your deck, and if you don't know the lines of your deck yet, that's part of running the lines, right? Playing the games, getting those reps in to really start to get it. All right, Surveil Land to start off is a nice. No Flame Blade Adept, no turn 1 Burning Inquiries. All right, 19 all. A Noble Hierarch. Again, we're looking for the full sign package for the Infect. All right. Bolts are in hand. Not much else. We're just sort of laying. Oh, there's a Blood Moon. Ah, Inkmoth Nexus is nice. Get a little bit of evasion going. Our Hollow One's like, please say that you're running Wild Defiance. No, we're not running Wild Defiance anymore. This is not, you know, mid-2000s, I guess late 2000s time period, 2010, 2012, I think was the last time that I ran Wild Defiance. It was probably 2013 in that window, I don't know. Back when it was like, you know, Bolt was the best thing. Basically, once Fatal Push got printed, Wild Defiance started to disappear. Blighted Agent is going to come out here. Another Noble. So this play right here is an indication that, yeah, there's a Bolt going to come down. Indication that we probably don't have a protection spell. Because if we had a protection spell, we play the Blighted Agent and don't play the Noble. But by doing that specific line of setting up for a really explosive turn, it's probably that we just have a good number of pump spells and just no protection there. So, like, there are these little nuances. Like, a lot of people aren't going to be used to playing against Infect anymore or used to seeing the matchup. Like, the people that play Infect still nowadays have run the lines and done the reps, and there's little nuanced things that if you're playing against it, like right there in that case of the way that they are tapping their mana and doing these things, are not only giving us information about what they have on the battlefield, but giving us information about what's in their hand or not in their hand. Hey, there's a Blood Moon. So let's get rid of the creature that can be a problem, the Infect creature, and now we're going to be going into lock down the lands. Bunch of mountains here. Noble helps out. But, hey, let's go to combat. It said, are they all signed? Yep. 3 damage. We're on the beats. Let's go. All right, another Burning Inquiry here, or is this the first draw of it? Hey, here's a nice little mountain. This is, I'm going to play this. Fear of Missing Out. No Delirium. Burning Inquiry will be discarded. Let us draw a card. Do we have Delirium? Nope, we do not. But guess what? We do have A Pyroclasm. Deal 2 damage to each creature. So not only are you not able to utilize your lands, you're no longer going to be able to utilize your mana dorks here. He says, I think I had you. So we're going to look. Yeah, draw. Do we get anything worthwhile? Do we get our basic or anything? So no, here's what I was rocking. I had these nobles. I had Distortion Strike, scale up. So I was going to try to kill you there. Let's see, how much would it? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And I was like, okay, if I do all these, is that enough to get you? He says, you wouldn't have an attacker, you wouldn't have enough mana if you did it because all your stuff are mountains. And I go, no! So, there we go, tied up 1-1. And now we get that information of, oh, you're running Blood Moon, of course. So I need to have some sideboard cards to help me against Blood Moon. All right. Now, Infect's mulliganing to 6. Is Vengevine player staying at 7? Nope, they're going to 6 as well. So both players are going to be mulliganing to 6. Hey, basic into a noble. Good start here. A little bit more protection against, you know, the dreaded Blood Moon. All right, Vengevine player going to be fetching. He says, I'm going to just go to 19 here just in case you try to kill me with the noble. I'm going to play it a little bit safer here. It has been a while since I've gotten to do the kills, but as any good Infect player out there, I have won through combat damage with Noble Hierarch. I've won through combat damage with Dryad Arbor and with Spellskite. So I have done the hat trick, if you will, of winning through regular damage. Burning Inquiry, though, on a turn 1. Yikes. So yeah, draw your 3, shuffle your hand up a little bit, and then randomize what gets discarded. Both players are. So we'll see what the hits are here. I always like to mix and match and grab from different spots. And we'll see, let's grab 3 in the middle here. And what do we lose? Ooh, 3 creatures. That is not a good sign. Seeing a Phoenix going to the graveyard is also not a good sign for us. But no Hollow One to play off that, so that's nice. Inkmoth is good. Bring the beats. That's also a little bit of telling, sending the message of, okay, you don't have another creature, and it's like, nope, all my creatures are sitting right here. An Endurance, a Blighted Agent, and a Venerated Rot Priest. Now, we do have, like we talked about, is there are 2 Green Sun Zeniths in the list to help us do some tutoring and potentially finding a Venerated Rot Priest later on to give us the option of getting some pumps, getting some kills. We saw how effective that was in game 1 here, so. All right, Pendelhaven. Oh, I guess because we switched our forest, we have assigned forest from the other art that we've taken out of the deck because we like the Infect, the Phyrexian one. So I guess we need that signed too. But Blighted Agent's going to try to come down here. All right, some fetching. So now that we found an Infector, we still have the Inkmoth. We could have gone for an activation of the Inkmoth and like super tapped out. So not tapping out here for the 2 extra Infect is kind of giving us information that, oh, okay, so yeah, our potentially having some pump spells, potentially having some protection spells here. So things are at least looking a little different in that regard of the way that we're not overcommitting to the board state here. Knowing that there are pyroclasms now, knowing that there are blood moons and other type effects, are kind of trying to keep stuff a little bit more hidden away, but also down to only 3 cards in hand. Keeping it on top. It says Burning Inquiry. All right, lots of options here of like trying to set ourselves up with Faithless Looting, with Burning Inquiry. Like our goal is to get the Vengevine into the graveyard and try to hit some double cast here to really get some burst going. Hey, there we go. That's one way to start. Faithless Looting. And the sweet art for it, too. I said discard that one. It's the Burning Inquiry. All right, we're going to pitch a Root Walla and a land. That at least gets us a Root Walla. Burning Inquiry here. It's like, do we do any responsings? Nope, we're okay. We're going to get 3 more cards for both players and do some shuffling. I like Burning Inquiry is such a sweet card. Like it makes things weird. Like, and you know, could really turn the tide. We saw 3 creatures get pitched right at the beginning for the Infect player. And again, just grabbing a clump. We'll grab that clump. Mutagenic, Ink Moth, and another Blighted. Wow, things are really clumped up. We saw all the Rot Priests together in game 1. We're seeing all the Blighted Agents together here. There's a Root Walla, which means second spell or second creature gives us a Vengevine. All right, well, there is a Detective's Phoenix in the graveyard, so we could just be like, here's a clock of 6 coming at you. But also, there is the Ink Moth too, so maybe we have to be careful and worried about that. So yeah, we're going to throw it on a Root Walla. We've already got haste, so we already know that we're going to guaranteed swing in for 4 damage. You know, the likelihood that the Infect player chooses to block here is less. And they lost a pump spell of Mutagenic. All right, dropping to 16. All right, the Vengevine player is now tapped out. So guaranteed 2 damage for just attacking. Could be 3 damage off the Blighted Agent. Pump spell like a Might, Groundswell, a Scale Up, any of those bigger ones, right? 6, 7, 8, you know, or 6 damage. Like we could do all up to 8 damage this turn. A Scale Up plus Mutagenic, 9 damage, I guess. You could do quite a lot in one turn here. Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what sort of pump spells we're working with. Botanical Sanctum here. Oh, Noble. Okay. So 3 damage guaranteed. Could be 4. Pendelhaven is a safety net, though. Like, against a Pyroclasm or something like that. Giving it that 2 extra toughness will help us survive a Pyroclasm. So, most likely, Pendelhaven will not be utilized on the offense unless we needed that 1 extra point of damage to help us pushing. But here's 3 coming across the double Exalted trigger there. Ugh, someone bumping into our camera again. Stop it. Stop hitting our table. We finally got the camera off the regular table. And I know people are asking about trying to zoom out a little bit more. We'll have to look into ordering some more setup equipment or additional attachments to raise it up a little bit more. And do some test footage of that soon. All right, another Phoenix here. I don't think we have the tools to be able to do any bestowing since we're left with a bunch of lands in our graveyard. Hollow One, though, so maybe if we can get a discard going. Also, a Vengevine here. Could just, like, hardcast a Vengevine. I like the full art Vengevine. I've got this planned for taking a bunch of full art cards and doing some video filming and asking players to see if they remember what all the card does. But that might be the plan for filming when we go to Vegas this summer and try to get a bunch of players to see. Because a lot of the players that are going to be going to Vegas that I'm going to be hanging out with are mainly EDH and Commander players and probably aren't going to sit here and be able to tell me, you know, what does Vengevine do, or what, like, do you remember all the text on Vengevine? Do you remember what a cryptic command does? You know, like these weird instances of like, what are these things? I don't know. I like the full art stuff. Like, I'll probably throw in some easy ones like, here's a giant growth, a full art giant growth, textless giant growth. What does that do? Detectives Phoenix again, gonna get thrown out. Taking another Vengevine hit. So again, looking for a pump spell, guaranteed 3 damage. Any pump spell, you know, turns that 3 damage into 7. Like if we get a Groundswell or Might of Old Corrosa, 2 mutagenic, a land again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lands. Ooh, 1's in the graveyard already. 2 nobles on the battlefield here, so way too much mana right now. So dig in looking for pumps. Hoping for another another Burning Inquiry to help us draw into some pump spells here. 3 more damage. And I like doing this little slow chip damage. I think it's a little bit safer. Unless, like, the Simic version does have the ability to go all in. You can burst things down. You can be able to, you know, have an explosive turn. But let's see. Fetching. Now we're up to that 4 mana that we could be able to hardcast a Vengevine, or hoping to probably get another discard like a Goblin Lore or something and get 2 creatures off and go. But still, it's super close. Players are joking about, you got 7 mana, are you going to overload a Cyclonic Rift? Oh, there's no Cyclonic Rift. We're going to get overloaded here. It's not Commander. All right, Hollow One. Oh, Ox. And a Vengevine. I mean, Vengevine, we already have 1 on the battlefield, so that's 8 haste plus, you know, you can just, like, go wide, I guess. Like with the Blight Agent, we really could just like go all in here and just like, all right, let's force you to do some blocks, right? Swing in with both the Phoenix. Swing in with both Vengevines. What is that? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 damage. Forcing, you know, both the nobles to essentially die. I guess you could bring the other root wall in, just like really just go like, let's go wide. Yeah, okay, so Vengevine's going to get dropped down. Moving to combat. Let's see it. This math is for blockers. Send the team. Full send it. And now we're tapped out. It's like safe to activate this Ink Moth. Can Pendelhaven here. He says, because I don't really have a choice, let's block these Vengevines. Let's block this and take 4. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Drop to 5. Inkmoth stays alive because of the Pendelhaven. We kill a Phoenix. We do a fetch. Gonna be digging here. Looking for a Surveil land. Okay. Any pump spell is a live kill here. There's no Phoenix available anymore to block. Inkmoth, Blighted Agent, Pendelhaven is 3 damage. Mutagenic Growth, Groundswell, Might of Old Corrosa. All lethal damage. I guess the Sorcerer Strike not quite lethal. Oh, throw Beseiju in the graveyard here. Don't want that. Looking for a pump. All right, do we got it? Activation. Moving to combat. Pendelhaven this one. We're in the shrug mode. 3 only drop. Oh my gosh. And another land and 2. Oh, the pick your poisons. Pick your poisons, of course, brought in to help against the annoying Blood Moon type effects. Also can work out against a Hollow One that might get thrown down early on. So very versatile, very useful sideboard card here, but not going to help us there. Even Grafdigger's Cage. So yeah, we're going to start seeing the bit of the sideboard from both players here as we're getting set up here. So very close, very close. We almost got the victory there. Surgical Extraction also getting brought in because, again, there's so much annoying graveyard stuff that's available. So 2 pick your poisons, a Surgical, a Grafdigger's Cage, and Beseiju brought in. So when you are taking all that stuff out, of course, we are shaving on a bit of our pump spells. And look at this, Blood Moon, Double Surgical, Pyroclasm coming in here. Spellskite's taken out. One of the Groundswells taken out there. So yeah, got to see a little bit of the sideboard action, but hope you guys enjoyed that one. Of course, if you are interested in seeing any of the decks, they are linked up on the Mox Field there, so you can be able to check out the Mox Field links. But that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed that action. We'll see you guys every Monday and Thursday for more gameplay. But that's going to do it. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all next game.